that again. Good morning. I'm Reverend Jeffrey. There we go. I'm Reverend Jeffrey Kealoha Ryan. It is my honor and pleasure to serve this beloved community as the spiritual director. This beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, where?
God lives here.
Much better. All right, awesome. So this year here at Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, we are working with the theme of spirituality in action. Yes? You've heard me say that however many weeks we've been doing this now for this year, right? For at least 8.5 months or 7.5 months, right? So, spirituality in action. And this month's theme is respecting other people, other nations, and peoples. And that is what we are working with today and the next couple of weeks as well, is respecting other nations and peoples. And today I chose the title here of Live Unto Others. And living unto others comes from a quote by our founder, Ernest Holmes. So let me share that with you first so that we have context for why it's called Live Unto Others. All right, so breathe in and receive. Here we are. So we live unto others. We live unto others because that which is myself is yourself. And that which is yourself is myself. And that which is ourself collectively and ourselves individually is the one and only self. There is no other self. Got that? All right. So if we are living unto ourselves or unto others, we're living unto ourselves as well, yes? Right? Because truly there is only one life that is expressing itself in, through, and as all of creation. It is the one life that is individualized in human expression. It is the one life that is individualized in all of life itself, whether it be animal, mineral, or anything else, right? That all of creation is the divine made manifest. So there is simply only this one life. But what we have the opportunity to do is we have the opportunity to see its glorious and most beautiful expression showing up in, through, and as each one of us. In, through, and as our uniqueness. In, through, and as our diversity. In, through, and as our individuality. That we are each an individualized expression of this one magnificent life, this one magnificent self. So if we are living unto others, we are living unto ourselves. That which we do to our brothers, our sisters, and our siblings, we are also doing unto ourselves. That which we think about our brothers, sisters, and siblings, we also think about ourselves. That which we believe about our brothers, sisters, and siblings, we also believe about ourselves. Breathe that in. Right? Because what are you thinking right now? I'm perfect. Tomorrow's like, I'm perfect. It's good. Right? Because when we then begin to apply what we teach here, when we begin to apply spiritual principle to our lives, it's really easy to say we're all one and we're brothers and sisters and siblings and kumbaya, right? It's really easy to say that, but then when we see stuff on TV, there's a little bit more of a challenge by that, perhaps, right? Or we see stuff in the news, we might be challenged by that. Or we see somebody in our workplace or at our school, we might be challenged by that because there is this wonderful unskilled behavior that is sitting in front of us that we are seeing and we are observing. And if we are not conscious that it is actually unskilled behavior and false belief and false evidence appearing real, when we're not conscious of that, then we have a tendency to want to go, all people like that behave that way. We have a tendency to want to group people together, and then we have a tendency to want to label people, and then we have a tendency to want to collectively believe that about this whole group of people. Yeah? It's kind of the way our human minds get caught in the idea of duality, in the idea of separateness, in the idea of otherness. We get caught because we see this behavior here and we forget, oh yeah, that person is me too. Oh yeah, that group of people is me too. Because we like to say around here, if you spot it, you got it. And that's the good, bad, and the ugly about it, right? If you spot it, you got it. So then the opportunity then is to turn within and go, so I'm seeing this out here, I'm observing this in my larger world, in my larger reality, right? Then if I'm seeing it out here and I'm observing it out here and it's triggering me especially, then it's living somewhere in here too. And then the opportunity then is for us to turn within and become curious. Not self-blaming, not self-shaming, but to become curious. It's like, I'm seeing this, and because I'm seeing it, and because I'm experiencing it, and because it's like poking at me, what about that? Where is that alive within me, even in the smallest bit? Because it's got to be there. So the opportunity then becomes for me to, and for you and for us, to go within and to look and to explore what is there. What is the underlying fear? What is the underlying belief system that allows me to see this out into the world, or that really triggers me around this particular issue, or around this particular person, or around this particular group of people? What is that false belief that was probably planted way, way back, perhaps even before I was born, because it kind of continues through society? Where was it planted that I've come to believe this, that I've come to accept this as the way things are? That I've come to see somebody else as the other rather than seeing somebody else as myself. There was a guru sitting on top of a mountain on his meditation cushion, and a man is climbing the mountain to come to the guru and sweating and all tired, and he goes, "Master, how do we treat others?" And the master said, "There are no others." Right? Ooh. Darn it. But I want there to be others. I don't want to own that behavior. I don't want to own that belief system. I don't want to own that. I don't want to admit my own fault. I don't want to admit my own shortcoming. I don't want to admit that I got sucked down that drain again of separation, of finger pointing, of blaming, of shaming. I don't want to get caught in that. No, don't tell me that there aren't others. I really, really want there to be others right now. But there aren't. And how easy it is as a society to watch the news and to look on Facebook and however else you are consuming media and get so easily caught in the swirl and the spin of what is going on. And how easy it is to get caught in the swirl and the spin and the fear and the trepidation and the awfulness, and then to blame, and then to otherize, and then to separate, and then to dissect, and then to divert, and then get caught again with this idea over here and follow this path, and this idea and follow this path. Like collectively as a society, we've got attention deficit disorder, it seems like, right? It's like, oh, here's shiny object, or here's this, so let me follow that, and let me follow that, and oh, squirrel. So we have the opportunity to bring ourselves back to center. We have the opportunity to bring ourselves back into alignment. We have the opportunity with every breath and every moment to remind ourselves, no, this is not the truth. What do I know the truth to be? I know that the truth is that there is only one. I know that the truth is that love is here in the midst of everything despite appearances. That right where I am, the power and the presence of love is, it has to live, because that is the truth of my being. And so if that is the truth of my being, then how do I allow my heart light, how do I allow that love to shine in even greater ways? How do I stand in the face of apparent separation? How do I stand in the face of apparent injustice? How do I stand in the face of that? How do I lift my voice to right what seems to be injustice? And the way I do that, the way I am called to do that, is I have to be standing in principle. I have to be standing in love. I have to be standing in righteousness, if you will. Holy righteousness, not just like righteousness, right? It's not an ego righteousness. It is standing in principle. So this week, our organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, shared a statement that they had shared about a year and a bit ago. And they felt the call to reshare it this week in the light of things that have been shared nationally and events that have been happening nationally, from the highest levels of government to then the shootings that took place last week, and then the roundup and the raids in Mississippi this week. The organization felt the call to respond again with this. And so I want to share this with you. Oops, where'd it go? There it is. So this is from the Spiritually Motivated Social Engagement Committee, Spiritually Motivated Social Engagement Committee, of which Dr. Ken Gordon, the spiritual director, is part of that. So it says, in The Science of Mind, our founder Ernest Holmes states, Jesus plainly tells us that we are held accountable for the very words which we speak. No man ever lived who placed a greater power in the word. By our words we are justly condemned. The word may be considered to be the complete thought and act of man. There must be a thought before there can be an act, and the thinker before there can be a thought. The thinker condemns or justifies himself through his thought. So now we come to it. The words used by a person in power that are vulgar, racist, demeaning, and absolutely demonstrating what is in mind and heart, as well as the world that is trying to be created. The President of the United States has time and again used harsh and racist language, most recently about residents of Baltimore and black congressmen. Shirking his responsibility to represent the highest values of the nation, this is not an isolated situation, but part of an ongoing pattern of racist behavior, and many will pay the price. This is not the world we as spiritual beings are creating together. This is not the world that we as human beings want for our children. This is not the world that we as people of faith believe in is what love of God is seeking to express through us. This is not the world that we Virtually all descendants of immigrants, indentured servants, or enslaved peoples are dreaming and building together. Every civilization has its ugly elements. The best leaders strive to help their society rise above limitations rather than validate and encourage them. Citizens are right to expect leaders to set an example based upon higher values. We speak out on this issue because we are called to do so by the spiritual principles which we hold dear. Let us remember that words do have power. Let us hold loving and compassionate intentions and speak words that demonstrate what we think and believe, thereby living from a deeper spiritual reality. Let us celebrate and affirm our connection, oneness, and love for each other, our global family. Let us call to account ourselves, our friends, our colleagues, our communities, and our leaders for the words that are used. Let us demand civility and respect for all people, from our leaders and from one another. From Centers for Spiritual Living Global Vision, we envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. We envision a world where each person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging. A world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement, and justice. We believe in a world that works for everyone. While we might not perfectly know what that looks like, we do know that striving for it, speaking about it, and claiming it with our words are a way to make it a reality. Words do have power. They have the power of truth in them. And words of truth, aligned with the spiritual teachings of the ages, love thy neighbor as thyself, create the world in which we all want to live. So that is the statement put out by Centers for Spiritual Living, and of course, we here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living are in 100% alignment with that. We here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living are out in the world making a difference, doing our work in the world. And the way we are able to do that is we are able to do that because we ground ourselves first in spiritual principle. We ground ourselves first in our willingness to look at our self-imposed limitations. We do that by our willingness to see one another as brother, sister, sibling, to see one another as ourselves. And we can do more. Right? We can do more. Right? We can do more. And that more starts right here with each one of us, yes? So when we see 680 undocumented workers rounded up on Wednesday in Mississippi while their children were at their first day of school, and we see this in response to a lawsuit, a judgment against the company that would have to pay $3.75 million to its workers, and that this too is not a isolated event, that it had happened before in Tennessee and Ohio recently. We can see that there is something more that needs to be done. We can see that there is something more that needs to be said. We can see that there is something more that we need to take responsibility for and speak out into the world. We must be very clear as to who we are and that which we wish to advocate for and that which we wish to see, that which we wish to experience. So what is it that you wish to experience? Is it peace? Is it harmony? Is it love? Is it joy? Is it justice? What is it that we wish to experience? And we have the opportunity to acknowledge what has happened and what is occurring. And we also have the opportunity to not only acknowledge that, but to also name that which we wish to experience. We have an opportunity to name that which we wish to experience and to call our brothers and sisters and our siblings higher. We have the opportunity to call each other higher. We have the opportunity to call ourselves higher by taking a moment and really educating ourselves as to what is going on. By taking a moment and really educating ourselves as to what is spiritual truth, what is spiritual principle, and begin practicing it and living it from that place. And then speaking from that place, rather than being against something, what are we for? It was right there what we were for. Our global vision, right? Enfranchisement, justice, housing, food, shelter, love, education, a world that works for everyone and all of creation. That is what we are for. It is up to each one of us to go about making a difference in our own individual lives, in our own individualized expression, in our own individual communications with one another. See your neighbor. Look around you. See who's sitting next to you. This is your neighbor. This is your sister. This is your brother. This is your sibling. This is you sitting next to you. And when we come from that place, anything is possible. When we come from that place of love, when we come from that place of recognition, then change is possible. The world that works for everyone is possible. But we have the opportunity to do that within ourselves and with each other. So right now, I invite you, if you're comfortable, to go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to allow someone or a group of someones to come to mind with whom you do not share a similar belief, or with whom you share a similar belief, with whom you don't share a similar belief, or you think you don't anyway. And just breathe. And so what is it about this person or this group of people that you feel are somehow other or separate from you? What is that? What is that one thing? Maybe it's several things, but what is allow one thing to come up? What is it? Maybe it's a different political party, different culture, different ethnic background, different race, different job. What is that? And so is it a behavior or is it a belief? Is it a behavior or is it a belief that causes you to feel different somehow? Or that they're different from you? Worthy of separating yourself from them? And breathing in And just being curious, where does that reside within you? Whatever it is that you've identified as the other in the other person, where does that otherness reside in you? And it doesn't mean that because somebody is a murderer that you are a murderer. It's deeper than that. So where does the fear reside? What is the fear within you that is being called forth to be healed at this moment? Just identify that. And allow light to shine into that space, casting out the shadow belief, casting out the shadow idea. And now I invite you to ask yourself, how can I get more proximate with this person or with this group of people? By getting proximate, I mean, how can I engage with this person or a member of this group of people? How can I engage with them? What do we have in common? Sometimes we have to start with, we have in common the fact that we're both breathing, that we both have a heartbeat. But what do we have in common? At what level can I engage with this person or this group of people? Because once we begin to recognize our commonality, once we begin to recognize our shared experience, and we're able to engage, then we begin to recognize our common humanity. We begin to recognize ourself, the one self. We begin to live unto others, recognizing that myself is yourself is myself. Our collective selves is the one self, but there is only this one self. And feel the energy begin to shift as you contemplate this individual or this group. You haven't changed anything outside yourself. You're doing the work right here in consciousness. Right here is where the work begins. And so take a nice deep breath. And return to this time and space. So we live for each other. We live unto others. We live unto ourselves. A tree does not eat its own fruit. A river does not drink its own water. A flower does not enjoy its own fragrance. These things are meant to be shared and to be experienced by the greater good. And so let us together rise and live from this place of oneness. Let us together rise and live from this place of our common humanity. Let us together rise and live recognizing that there is only one. And breathe. And so it is. So I invite our practitioners and our core council to please stand and surround the sanctuary at this moment. So these beloveds are in prayer for this community. You're great right where you are there tomorrow. These beloveds are in prayer for this community on a daily basis. They are available for prayer after service, as Tim and Kim mentioned, right here in front of the platform here, right in front of the sanctuary. They're available for prayer then. They're also available for prayer during the week. And they're also available for private sessions. If there's something that is stirring within you that you would like more support around, they're also available for sessions. So something to consider taking advantage of. And like we said, we don't want anybody to leave here with anything on their hearts. So make sure that you receive prayer today if that's calling to you. But let's all come together in consciousness now. So I recognize that there's only one life, one love, one infinite eternal self. And it is this self that brought forth all of creation, through itself, as itself, and of itself. For truly there is nothing but this one. So there is nothing that anything could be made from other than the divine, other than itself. And so I recognize that all of creation, all of life is this one life made manifest. It is this one love made manifest. It is this one eternal beingness that has been brought forth in physical form, in this time and space, to experience itself and its life. And I recognize, therefore, that all of life is sacred, all of life is whole and holy. Therefore, I recognize that I, too, am the divine made manifest. That right where I am, the power and the presence is. Right where I am is the love, is the life that lives, breathes, and has its being as all of creation and as me. And I as it, that I am one with the one, eternal, whole, and complete, just as I am. And I recognize that all of life are my brothers, my sisters, my siblings, that all of life is just a reflection of me, a reflection of who I am. That we are truly one together, expressing in a variety of ways, and how glorious this is to behold. And so I speak my word here and now for this beloved community, recognizing that each one present here has said yes to the call upon their life, has said yes to the spiritual truth, has said yes to the spiritual principle of living in oneness, of recognizing one another as ourselves. That each one of us has said yes to doing the higher work, to answering the greater call, to doing the work that is required of us, so that we may all move into a greater expression of who we are and a greater expression of this world that works for everyone in all of creation. I accept for each one of us that we answer the call when we are called upon to stand up, to use our voice, to speak out, to right injustice, and to do so from a place of spiritual anchor, from spiritual principle. I call upon that which is within us, the divine urge that calls forth the action, to take action upon that which we are called to take action upon. To not remain silent, to move forth in working together collaboratively, using our collective consciousness and our hands and our feet and our heart and our bodies to bring forth this world that we wish to experience. And I recognize that it is all starts in consciousness, but it is these hands and these hearts through which the divine works. And I am grateful for that. And so I bless the hands, the hearts, and the minds of everyone present here today, knowing that we go forth from this place in an affirmative yes to life, an affirmative yes to our oneness, an affirmative yes to the love that we are, the love that we share, an affirmative yes to the call upon spirit, the call upon our life. And so I give thanks for that which is already unfolding here and now, I give thanks for the high idea made manifest. I simply release this word into the law, knowing that it is done, knowing that it is so, knowing that nothing ever need be added. I simply let it be. And together we affirm, and so it is.